Alright, everybody, this is Nash here, and today we are going to get to know the University of Louisiana-Monroe just a little bit. This is kind of a preview. Obviously it is a preview, but it's not as in-depth as some previews go, and it's more of just a general overview of how the team did last year and looking at what's coming back, and let's get into it. And if you like the video, please like the video. If you want to, please subscribe. It'll help out the channel a lot. It doesn't cost you anything. And also, comment down below what you think of the Louisiana-Monroe Warhawks. Let's get into the video. Alright, so you got Louisiana-Monroe up on the docket. Here's Texas comparing the 2021 seasons. Very similar, yet different. And what I mean different is, so similar records, similar conference records, completely different on the points for, and this isn't really that important, but the strength of schedule, we obviously, being Texas, being in a tougher conference, and then also having played some tough games, we had a way higher strength of schedule than they did. Alright, and so when you go to look a little bit deeper into the stats, their offense is just, it was not good. The production was not good. Even for playing in a lower conference, when you're talking 4.6 yards per play, that's not good. You'll see in a minute, they had 3.3 yards per rush. It's not going to get the job done at any level, really. And so when you go to Texas, you look, we weren't some otherworldly team when it comes to the offense, no duh. But, and it was kind of aided early on, we scored a lot. But, like, points per play, shout out 512, Austin, Texas. But points per play and red zone scoring, those were the only ones that we scored in the top 10 in. When you start looking at, like, the yards per play, points per game, yards per game, those numbers need to get up. Third down conversion, that needs to get higher if we want to be where we want to be. But this isn't really a video talking about that stuff. But obviously, so Texas, as expected, looks better than Louisiana-Monroe on paper. So I mentioned Louisiana-Monroe's rushing and 3.3. That comes in at that's top 20 worst in the FBS rushing. So that's not good. And the caveat is that they're definitely in the top of the nation when it comes to rushes per game. And when you start looking at rushing yards per game, that's when it goes way down. So they did it a lot, yet they were not that effective at it. And then how do they defend against it? 4.6 yards per rush. That wasn't great. If you're letting up 4.6 yards per rush, that's 2 rushes is almost a first down. 2 rushes gets you to third and inches, almost. Rushes per game, they weren't facing a ton of rushes either. And they're right there at almost the 50% mark when it comes to opponents choosing to rush or pass. Now, how did they do at the pass defense? A lot of the same. And how did they do on pass offense? A lot of the same. What you're kind of starting to learn here with Louisiana-Monroe, this is one of those teams that, people joke about a Kansas. This makes Kansas look like a otherworldly team. And that's not to trash Louisiana-Monroe. That is just to say, this is a game that we cannot, we have no business even losing, even being competitive in. Like, this game should be an afterthought after the first quarter. And then for those that just want to kind of quick look at how Texas did last year with the same stats to get a comparison, here you go. If you want to, you can pause the video. Since this is kind of a getting to know Louisiana-Monroe, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but Nevertheless, here it is. So, one thing that you start to learn when you start to go a little bit deeper into the stats of their penalties is they are one of the least penalized teams in the college football FBS division. I mean, that is, I'd take those numbers all day long, because at that point, who cares if you're averaging 8.7 yards per penalty when you're only averaging 3.8 penalties per game? No. The defense, that wasn't, I mean, they did all right, but it could have been better. So their offense is, what that was telling me was that in 2021 at least. Now, who knows? We'll see. And we'll kind of, this is a little something to follow. Their offense was really, really well coached. And what I mean by that is they were very disciplined. Did not go a mistake, and if they did make mistakes, it did not get called often. And I did not mention much about the turnovers, but I mean it's pretty much all the same here when you start talking about this stuff. But so again, for people who want to look at the Texas stuff, here you go. You can pause it right here. But I will talk about this for a quick second. The Texas defense on the penalties statistics. Opponents played a really clean game against Texas last year. Now, that we were either not forcing penalties, so like that's, you can, things like trying to get a pass interference call or something like that. But just teams were playing clean ball against Texas on the other side of the ball for whatever reason that was. And then the the turnover margin was just, I mean, that's got to get better. You want to win games, win the turnover margin. It ain't rocket science. Alright, and here is the depth chart. And this is taken from OurLads.com. They do a lot of good stuff on, if you want to get to know quick depth charts from all over. Now, some of the stuff could be inaccurate, but especially following a Louisiana-Monroe, so there's little information known. But I will say, for those who want a complete, accurate depth chart breakdown, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a ton of preview videos in the coming weeks leading up to Louisiana-Monroe. So I would look for those for a more accurate one. But if you're also having trouble seeing it right now, I just switched it to the same one. But here we go. Boom. Here's your offense and defense depth chart. If you want, you can pause here for that. Now, something that's very interesting is, and I can't really show the stats the stats for this, but they are losing a ton of snaps. And when I mean a ton, I mean a lot. The total snaps that they have coming back, if you count the top 30 people on offense and top 30 people on defense. So what I'm saying is, when a guy takes a snap, boom, 1. Guy 2 takes a snap, boom, 2. 1 plus 1, 2. So you're taking all the snaps that they played all throughout the season, and you're adding up all the top 30 guys. When you do that, and you start taking away the snaps of the guys that are gone or transferred out, 1,657 total snaps. That averages out between all 60, if you were to count 60 people. And the reason why I say 60 is, yes, there's 85 men on the NCAA football roster, but only 60 of these guys are, as you can see, I mean, you can't see it, but like these guys at the lower levels, they start to get down to like 17, 10, even single-digit snaps. So, only the top 60 guys are really going to play any sort of meaningful football whatsoever. And really, some of these guys are not even meaningful. But when you take that 1,657, you divide it by 60, that's an average of 27.6 snaps per player. So this is an inexperienced roster. Or, well, I should say, They do have some transferred in experience, but this is not a roster that has played a ton of snaps with each other. And their first live rep is against Texas. And then their second live rep is a Nickel State, but their third live rep, and like when I say live rep, I'm talking game time, baby, is versus Alabama. But so let's look at their all right, so let's look at their FPI right here. And kind of scrolling, where are we going to get to, boom. Oh, wow. Wow, they're pretty far down there. Is the FPI high on them at all? No, they are not. They come in at near the bottom 128th in the nation with a 1.1% chance per the FPI to make it to 6 wins. Now, the FPI is very, very bullish on Texas. And going back to team rankings, which has been a lot of the stuff that we've seen here, their miracle season, 90th percentile, would be a 6-win, 6-loss year. If they had good luck, they're saying 4-8, most likely 3-9, bad luck 2-10, meltdown 1-11. And to compare it to Texas, we'll see that here. But now I will say, I have no idea how they did through the season. So, and what I mean by that, I have no idea how these projected forecasts did last year. So, I can't really speak on the accuracy of it. But this will be a very interesting thing to follow throughout the season. And we will follow it with all the other teams. And then to take a quick peek at Texas' forecast right here, 7-5 is the most likely. That's kind of what a lot of people are saying, and non-Texas fans, Texas fans, especially with the recent news, they've got a lot of us at 7-5. Bad luck, 6-6, 4-8, meltdown. I would agree with that. Good luck, 9-3. I would agree with that. Miracle, 10-2. I'd agree with that. So I think this is a pretty good forecast. We'll see how this goes. Personally, I would love some good luck. It seems that the whole luck meter hadn't really been running Texas' way that much recently, but we'll find out. I hope y'all got to know ULM a little bit better through this video. It's not, like I said, it wasn't really a preview. I didn't want to just, there's going to be a million previews, so I wanted to try and create something different. But if you like it, let me know. I'm going to be doing these for each of the teams, and these all should be out before the season starts. So I want y'all to be able to get to know the teams well before so I don't want to have you wait for a Baylor preview until November, Now, yes, a lot of stuff is going to change from the Baylor preview, but like I said, this will be a cool thing to track throughout the season. So let's have a good season. Let's kick things off versus Louisiana-Monroe. It's getting close, man. We got September 3rd right around the corner. Let's get it. Hook 'em.